All right, I don't know why my camera just stopped, but anyway, so as I was saying, we did use the center drill on the big drill press when we went through and drilled our hole in our plate there. We're gonna do the same concept right here, right now. So before we do any drilling, we're gonna go through and we are going to center drill first. And when you center drill, you're gonna go through that pilot and about halfway into that tapered section. And I can hold this right in a drill chuck. Lock that down good. And now we are going to go to our first hole location. So we can pick and choose however we want here. We're gonna center drill all 9 of these holes. So all of these, and all of these. So we could start down here and work our way back. We could start in the middle and go out and then come back down here. It really doesn't matter. I'm just gonna start like the drawing is and start in this corner and kind of work my way across and then come down and just do them like that. So my first location according to the drawing is 700 thousandths over and 700 thousandths down. So what I'm gonna do right now is just go over 700 thousandths on the digital readout. And roughly there. And then on Y, I'm gonna come down 700 thousandths. Excuse me. And we're gonna do the same thing. Now, this is where if you wanted to, you can go through and use your axes locks. So I can lock my X-axis down and my Y-axis. And a lot of times when you lock it, it will jump like that, 5/10. If you're really crazy, you can go back and try to loosen that up and adjust it. So when you lock it, it locks right at 700. For me, I don't lose sleep about a 1/2 thousandth being off. If I was boring it right now, I might be a little more critical of it, but for drilling it, we're 50 thousandths small anyway. And I didn't explain that. The reason we're drilling these all 50 thousandths small is that the tolerance on these is a 3 decimal place, and on this blueprint, a 3 decimal place tolerance is plus or minus 1/1000th of an inch. That's very tight. That's very hard to hit. That definitely cannot be hit by just using a regular drill bit. You're going to need a different operation than that. In our scenario here, we're gonna go through and we are gonna bore each one of those holes out. So that's why I'm leaving 50 thousandths small so that I can take that material out with the bore bar. And that'll be the next operation as we go through here. So right now we're just drilling it. This is basically a roughing operation to create a hole in the location of where we want it to be. If we were off on location right now a little bit on X or Y, even up to, 5, 10, even 15 thousandths, it's not going to affect us that much because when we bore it, as long as we have it perfect when we bore it, the bore is going to create its own location and it's not going to follow that drilled hole. It's going to create its own orientation. So right now this is a roughing operation, making it a little bit small. We're going to come back and then go and bore it out after. So for starters right now, I'm going to keep that close actually because I'm going to need those numbers. So I'm going to 700 thou and 700 thou, and again, I'm not going to lose sleep about that, so I'm just going to leave it there. Turn this on, got some coolant. Potentially, I'm getting a little low here in my tank, so it might not be drawn out here. There we go. All right, so we're getting some mist. Oh yeah, I didn't show you this. One other thing is, remember the crosshair we put in there? So right now, that drill should follow along with that crosshair. And even if it looks like it's off, and it kind of visually looks like it is off, don't trust it. That scribe line is not nearly as accurate as what this edge finds to. When you edge find and you set the location like we did, we are within probably 1/1000th of where we want to be right now. It is very, very accurate. That scribe line is just a scribe line. It's not a perfect scenario. So the only reason I'd even have you scribe this at all is just for this. A lot of times people forget to compensate for the diameter of the edge finder, and they don't move in that 100 thousandths and 100 thousandths. And if you were going to come here right now and you could see that your tool was off, basically 1/8 of an inch, it would be a red flag like, whoa, I did something wrong. That's the only reason I'm going to tell you to scribe even one hole. Otherwise, I believe in that edge finder and all of that way more than I believe in any of those scribe lines. So those are just there for moral support, you could say. So, all right, we're going to drill. And RPM on this here, I'm at 1,000 right now. For center drilling here, I'm not gonna worry about it, that's fine. I could probably go faster if I wanted to, but this will work for what we're doing. So There I just went down. You can see I created a little bit of that chamfer on there, and that's as deep as I want to go. So I want all my holes to look like that. So now I just follow the orientation what my blueprint says. All right, so the next hole is still 700 thousandths down, and it's 1 inch 450 thousandths over. So I'm going to move my x-axis, unlock it, and move it over to 1 inch 450 thousandths. And for what we're doing here, I'm not that worried, so I'm not going to go through and lock each axis. You can if you want to. Matter of preference there. It's not going to change much for what we're doing here. So 1 inch 450. I'm going to go again and center drill. A little deeper I went that time, but not a big deal. This time we're going over to 2 inch 200 thousandths. So I go to 2 inch 200. There we are. Center drill again. Now I'm going to move down on the y-axis. So I might as well stay at my same location because these are all in the same plane on y and on x. So I'm going to stay at 2 inch 200, but I'm going to move my y down to 1 inch 450 now. I'm going to loosen this up. Go to 1 inch 450. And center drill again. Now I'm going to go back to 1 inch 450. And there we are. Center drill that one. And then we're going to go to 700 thousandths again on X. So it's beautiful edge finding because you can go to the exact numbers that are in your blueprint. There's no guesswork, there's no compensation, there's no anything. As long as you have it edge found correctly. And here we are. Now we're coming down on Y, and we're going to go to 2 inch 200 thousandths on Y. So there we are. Drilled there. Then we're going to 1 inch 450 on X. From there, and finally we're going to end at 2 inch 200 and 2 inch 200. And that other one moved just a little bit on me now. Again, that'll happen, a little foul, I'm not worried about. Try to get a little closer. All right, there we go. And down we go. So we went through and we center drilled all of our holes. Now that's a guide for that drill to follow. So now when you're gonna go and drill this here, your drill is gonna fall right into that little pocket, and it's gonna guide that thing right through there, and it's gonna make your drill come out, you know, very close to size. So we're in the location right now for the smallest holes, which are 300 thousandths, which we're gonna drill them at 250. So I'm gonna start with this drill, and we're gonna knock out each one of these holes. So it's always a good practice to go through. If you center drilled this part, you should go through and drill it in the same work holding. If you were to go right now and it was buzzer goes off, it's time to leave for the day, you pull that part out and you put it back in and you edge find it all. Sure, you're gonna get it very close, but you're still gonna be off a little bit. Whenever you put a center drill into place, it's nice just to get that drilled hole right through in the same clamping and the same zeroing on the DRO, just to ensure that you're perfectly there. So it's just a good practice. All right, so I'm gonna drop this knee just a little bit so I have room for this drill to go in there. And that should work for what we're doing. And we're gonna take out our